So the first category I want to go to is connective tissue proper. If you remember from your flow chart, this is the one that's also called, it has a lot of fibers in it. So supporting connective tissue, bones and cartilage are different, and so is blood. So connective tissue proper is made up of both loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. Those are the two types. I want to just go right into talking about loose connective tissue. And the two types I'll be talking about are areolar and adipose. Areolar first is what's shown here. This is the least specialized type of connective tissue, which means it somewhat varies in how it looks, but it also has a lot of components in it. It's not as specialized. It's widespread and variable in the body. One place it is a layer in the skin that we'll see again next week. So these different substances here is basically like it's everything that you might have in connective tissue. Fibrocytes and fibroblasts are both making or maintaining fibers. So collagen and elastic fibers are also here. Both types of fibers are present in areolar tissue. Then we've also got adipocytes, so fat cells, lymphocytes, macrophages, neutrophils, so white blood cells, so immune abilities here, mast cells as well. Melanocytes are producing melanin to contribute to color. So basically fairly diverse, right? We've got, and we'll see it, it's actually what's just below the epithelial tissue. It's going to connect the epithelial to the underlying. It's kind of like a very general glue, and it's fairly loose. This is what it actually looks like on a slide at 400x. You can see this is elastic tissue, this thin here, elastic fiber, protein fiber. So these fibers are made of protein that then are produced by the cell and then outside of the cell to contribute to the structure of the tissue. This here is a collagen fiber. They are thicker. And these will be various cell types in the areolar tissue. And much of the volume of areolar tissue is ground substance. What's that? Fluid. The fluid that's surrounding the cells, extracellular fluid. Here's actually a picture of where areolar tissue, one place it is in the body. So this would be our pseudostratified columnar epithelium. You know where that is, right? Trachea. Here's the cilia. Here's our basement membrane. And down here underneath that is something called the lamina propria. Lamina propria is made up of areolar tissue. It's actually one side of the basement membrane is composed of that areolar tissue. Basement membrane is epithelial and the connective right underneath it is what's made up of both of those. So this areolar tissue, the lamina propria, is going to connect this epithelial tissue to the underlying tissues that we'll talk about later. Second type of loose connective tissue is fat or adipose tissue. One place it's located is underneath the dermis of the skin, but you've got fat tissue, various places in the body that's really important for protection, insulation, and energy storage, of course. So this is layers of different organs. Fat is made up of adipocytes, so fat cells, and these fat cells are full of fat. This is an example of an inclusion. This fat that's inside the cell takes up most of the cell. It's not in any membrane, it's just most of the cell is filled with fat. Here's a little nucleus. Sometimes it looks like the nuclei are outside of the cells, but they're not. It'd be hard to see the nuclei in lab. So that's fat. And those are our two loose connective tissues. So far we've described the cells and extracellular matrix that are found in loose connective tissues. The extracellular matrix of adipose cells is fairly fluid. There's not a lot of extracellular proteins. There's some extracellular fluid, that ground substance that is fluidy, loose. So here's the types of tissue: fibroblasts, fibrocytes, adipocytes, white blood cells generally, collagen fibers, and elastic fibers. Second, we've got dense connective tissue. So this, unlike loose, is more dense. What does this mean? First of all, the extracellular matrix is composed of extracellular fibers, much more than ground substance. This is going to make it denser material because it's less fluid, more proteins. So collagen or elastic fibers are going to be what most of the extracellular matrix is composed of. This is different than connective tissue, loose connective tissue, which contains much more ground substance. So we've got three types here. First one is dense, regular connective tissue. This is dense, right? It's also regular. So this means the fibers are all parallel to each other, mostly in alignment. These are collagen fibers. This is going to be what makes up tendons and ligaments. So strong and able to withstand strength in one direction. That's what key thing about it. So tendons and ligaments, your arms are meant to move in one direction, not necessarily withstand force in all directions. Dense, irregular. I have this other picture here because in lab, when you see this, it won't be blue. It'll be the same pink that most of the tissue you're seeing is. This is collagen as well. So both dense regular and dense irregular are made up of, composed of collagen fibers that are produced by fibroblasts and then maintained by fibrocytes. Dense irregular though, these bundles are all irregular. They go in different directions. This is designed to take force in different directions. Your skin is a great example of this. Your skin is designed to withstand force in any direction that you hit yourself, right? You can go like this. It's not specific to one direction like a tendon. So structure, function, great example of the relationship between the two. Lastly, we've got elastic tissue. This is a lot like dense regular connective tissue, but it's made up of elastic fibers instead of collagen fibers. So these fibroblasts are slightly different. They make a different protein. Differential gene expression, yay. Elastic fibers are a little bit thinner than collagen, a little stretchier. So this is tissue that needs to be able to still be supportive, but be a little more flexible. So one example is in between the vertebrae. It needs to be a little more flexible and stretchy than your tendons do. Okay, quick learning check here.